Hey, welcome to Daily Drive. My name is Mike Bro, and so honored to hang with you for just a few minutes every day. Some of you might be using, the Waze app to drive around this summer. That thing bails me out all the time. Waze and Siri helps me get to where I need to go. It tells me the fastest route. It shows me the highways that don't have any tolls. It shows me the scenic route. It give you traffic alerts, accident reports. That's Waze, Waze. So I just want to spend some time here on the podcast talking about the ways of God, how he leads, how he speaks, how he helps us navigate this journey that we're on. And we're going to talk for a while about this whole discovering the will of God for my life, like how can I know God's plan for my life kind of thing. And maybe when you hear that we're going to talk about knowing God's plan, discovering God's will for your life, you kind of yawn and say, I pretty much got all the loose ends of my life already tied up. Got all my ideas, all my goals, got my college major targeted, got my 10-year plan, my retirement destination all mapped out. So I really don't have any major decisions to make, and I don't have a really huge need to hear from God. But maybe, just maybe, some of you here that we're going to dive into this and you think, finally, yes, I got some big-time decisions facing me right now, and I could use some big-time direction. I would absolutely love to hear from God. I would love to know God's will for my life, God's plan for my life. Perhaps these days you're asking the question, am I at the right school? Am I on the right career track? Should I change majors? Should I change jobs or offer me another position? Is that the right position? And that position requires that I move to another town. Should I move to another town? If I move to another town, then I have to find a new house. And how will I know which house is the right house? And I'm not even sure if I want to move right now because this relationship I finally got into is with someone I think I kind of like and maybe even love, but I'm not really sure if they're the right one or the wrong one, or maybe the one I thought was the wrong one was actually the right one. Now I don't know what to do. I am so confused. Anybody there? Now, granted, there are decisions we have to make every day, like oatmeal or donuts. Some of you stood at the closet this morning when you got out of bed and were faced with options, blue shirt or the striped shirt, shorts or jeans. Wasn't really a big thing. You didn't stress over it. It didn't require like prayer and fasting. You just said, okay, it's either this one or that one, and you took one and you made a choice about your life. But there are other decisions that are a little larger. Some of them even intimidate us, and we wonder if we can really know if it's God's will for us. Well, maybe we ought to back up and just ask another question before we get started here. Does God even care? Does he even have a plan for me? Does God really guide people? Does God really even speak? And if he does, is there any way that I'm ever going to hear him? I know like people like, Abraham, Moses, Elijah, Mary, and all these other spiritually elite people probably hear from God, but hey, I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm just an ordinary girl. I'm kind of wondering if I'll ever put my head on the pillow at night and know that I'm hearing from him and doing what he wants me to be doing with my life. See, I think a lot of us are afraid that we'll never really know that. Well, if that's you, I hope that this will be a great encouragement to you as God unfolds for us what I think are some pretty simple, life-changing principles. Now, I dare say simple because maybe this thing about knowing God's will isn't as complicated as we want to make it. Maybe it's not like Wordle or Sudoku or getting out of an escape room. I want to begin our journey with a passage that many of you probably heard before, but maybe you've never heard God speaking it directly to you, as I think he's doing right now. It's Jeremiah 29:11. God says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Now, we got to be careful here when we look at the word prosper and the context that this comes out of. It was originally spoken to a specific group of people, and it's not necessarily God's plan that we all become really, really rich. But his plan and desire is to give us deep satisfaction and lead us to a hope and a future. He has proven that through Jesus Christ. Now, let me say up front, because some of you are thinking, oh, great, man, he's going to talk on the podcast about finding God's will, what perfect timing. I bet he's going to be able to give me, that sign that I've been waiting for. I just want to guarantee you that nowhere in the course of our time together will I be able to tell you whether you should date her or break up with him. I'm not going to be able to tell you whether you should drop that class or change majors, whether you should get out of that line of work and get into this line of work, or whether you need to turn down that promotion or take this promotion, or whether you need to move out of the situation you're in or move into another situation, or if you need to stay in this city or move to Colorado. And somebody said, oh, he just said Colorado. That's it. That's the sign. Why else would you just randomly blurt it out, Colorado, in the middle of this podcast? I'm just guessing that some of you might get a little frustrated because we're going to get to the end of this and you're going to say, dang it, I didn't get an answer. So I'm sorry. I don't have an answer for you, but I do think God's word will unfold for us some ways that we can begin to be the kind of people who are listening to God and living in his will every day. So let's just hang together for a few minutes every day, and let's allow God to turn us in to those kinds of people. See you next time.